It is now, this is Jody Meyer, Chair of the Historic Resources Commission. It's now 6 o'clock. So I will go ahead and call to order the January 20th, 2022 meeting of the Lawrence Historic Resources Commission. Lynn and Avery, do you want to give the preliminary information?
Yes, thank you. Good evening and welcome to the January 20th, 2022 Historic Resources Commission meeting. My name is Avery Kerner and I will be facilitating the Zoom video portion of the meeting tonight. Joining me here in the room is Lynn Braddock-Zollner, Historic Resources Administrator. We will work alongside the chair who is on remote video to facilitate the meeting proceedings. Tonight's meeting is being recorded and broadcast live on the city's YouTube channel and cable channel 25. During the meeting, when you are not speaking, please mute yourself by clicking on the microphone icon. This will make it easier for everyone to hear the meeting. When you are not participating during the meeting, please also turn your video camera off by clicking the video icon. This will allow the active meeting participants to be seen on screen. When you are participating in the meeting, please keep your video on. Commissioners and staff must state their name and title each time they speak. We also ask that applicants and members of the public state their names each time before they speak to ensure that everyone is able to follow along. When public comment is sought on an item, individuals participating via Zoom should use the raise your hand feature. Individuals will be called upon by name in the order they appear on the meeting host screen. When you are called on, please unmute yourself and state your name before speaking. The chair will then call for in-person public comment for those who are physically present. After a motion is made and seconded, the chair will call on each commissioner individually to provide their vote. The chair will then announce whether the motion carried and the count of that vote. And with that, I'll turn the meeting back over to the chair.
This is Jody Meyer, Chair. I will go ahead and do a roll call vote this evening of members that are here. Kelly Irby, which I believe is a no. Bonnie Johnson.
Yes, Bonnie Johnson.
Jody Meyer, obviously. Neil Ezel.
I'm here.
Brenna Buchanan Young.
Here.
Chad Foster.
Here.
There you go. Here. And Jay Hawley, who I believe is not present this evening. Okay. We will take up the items on the agenda tonight. The first item was general business. We have on the agenda to accept nominations for an elected chair and vice chair for 2022. I know that we have a couple of members who are absent this evening. So I know Lynn had emailed me with the idea that maybe we should postpone that until next month. Does anyone have a position about that? I think Kelly is presently vice chair. I don't know if she wanted to move up in the lineup or entertaining thoughts about that.
This is Commissioner Foster. You know, sometimes when people are absent, things happen. But I'm looking at the calendar of people's terms, and Jody, both you and Kelly are serving into 2023. I would like to float the idea of we just keep the same lineup. Jody, you're here to defend yourself, and Kelly is not. But I guess. I'll float that out there and see if anybody wants to weigh in.
Lynn Braddock-Zollner, Historic Resources Administrator. Your bylaws dictate that you have a new chair every year, that's a rotating position.
Ah, sorry. Has that always been the case, Lynn?
Yes.
Okay. In a previous life, in a previous term on the HRC, I seem to remember, I feel like I was chair longer than a year, like longer than, I mean, I'm not asking, you, I'm just saying, factually speaking, I don't know that that has always happened like that, but by any means.
Well, this is Commissioner Foster. Well, considering that, maybe delaying it a month and seeing if Kelly would be willing to step up a notch.
And in the meantime, everyone else who's here can think about if they have a burning desire to do it themselves. So we can have a horse race, rock, paper, scissors over it. I will then, I guess I will go ahead and move that we delay the taking up of the nominations until our February meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, there is a second, so we'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Commissioner Johnson, yes.
Okay, Commissioner Meyer is a yes. Commissioner Ezell?
Commissioner Ezell, aye.
Commissioner Buchanan Young?
Aye.
And Commissioner Foster?
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries 5-0. So we'll take that up next month. The next item on the agenda is communications. We have received some communications from the State Historic Preservation Office. Lynn, have we received other communications from other commissions or the general public?
Lynn Braddock Zollner, Historic Resources Administrator. We've received no other communications.
Okay, this is Chair Meyer again. Lynn, do you want to expound on the communications received from the State Historic Preservation Office?
Lynn Braddock Zollner, Historic Resources Administrator. This evening you have two nominations before you. Because Lawrence is a certified local government, the State Historic Preservation Office seeks the opinion of the city on nominations to the National Register. They have to notify the city so that the city has the opportunity to comment on those nominations. The two nominations before you this evening, one is within the city limits and one is in the county. The county item is just a courtesy to you to have you be able to comment on that. The one in the city is really one that you need to send comment on. Historically, the commission has reviewed these nominations and voted to send a letter of support if appropriate.
This is Chair Meyer again. Thank you. Let's, I guess, talk about these items in order. The first property is 1313 Massachusetts Street. Lynn, was there any public comment on this item?
Lynn Braddock Zollner, Historic Resources Administrator. We've received no public comment on this item and there's no one in the commission chambers.
Okay, this is Chair Meyer again. I personally, just to bring it back to the commission for discussion, would be in favor of sending a letter of support regarding the nomination to the National Register of Historic Places and the Register of Historic Kansas Places. And the letter had stated that we needed to send a supplemental checklist with that. Is that right?
Lynn Braddock Zollner, Historic Resources Administrator. That's something that staff will do if you decide to make comment, then that will be included on that application form. And then if you choose not to make comment, that will also be noticed and sent back to the SHPO.
Okay, this is Chair Meyer again. Thank you. Have they started interior construction on this project? You know, I thought I actually drove by there yesterday or today and saw some work going on.
Lynn Braddock Zollner, Historic Resources Administrator. They have started work on the interior. They're doing a tax credit project. So listing in the National Register is required to be eligible for those tax credits. So that's part of the reason they're seeking nomination.
Okay, this is Chair Meyer again. I will just say that, like I said, I'm very supportive of this property. It's kind of been a little sister there on the corner that's kind of not had a lot going on with it for a long time. So I'd very much be in favor of that. what kind of commentary do they want from us? I mean, the application is pretty detailed.
Lynn Braddock Zollner, Historic Resources Administrator. It would just be if you have any additional comments, if you knew additional information about the structure, or if you knew some reason why it shouldn't be listed, or if you have history, or if you would just like to make a comment about the importance of listing the structure.
Chair Meyer again, thank you. Any other commission members have any comments? Or supportive of the nomination?
This is Commissioner Foster, certainly supportive of the nomination and would move for staff to draft a letter for your signature to the state SHPO.
This is Commissioner Buchanan. I would second that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. So we'll go ahead and take a roll call vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Commissioner Johnson, yes.
Commissioner Meyer, myself is a yes. Commissioner Ezell?
Commissioner Ezell, aye.
Commissioner Buchanan Young?
Aye.
And Commissioner Foster?
Yes.
All right, that motion carries 5-0. Lynn, I think in terms of a letter of support, perhaps just a general letter of support, I think that this particular property and the corner that it's on have been a distinct characteristic, you know, kind of into the gateway to downtown. So I think that, I mean, just in terms of the historic nature of the area, it's pretty important. So, I mean, that's all that I think I might add off the top of my head. So with that, then we'll talk about the next item, which is 571 East 1000 Road in Baldwin, which is the Elmwood Stock Farm Barn. Lynn, is there any public comment on this item?
Lynn Braddock Zollner, Historic Resources Administrator. We have no one in the commission room, and there was no one that submitted public comment for this item.
Okay, this is Chair Meyer again. And this is a letter in which the Elmwood Stock Farm Barn will be considered by the Kansas Historic Sites Board of Review for nomination to the National Register of Historic Places and the Register of Historic Kansas Places at its next meeting. So I will bring it back to the commission for discussion. I know personally, I'm also supportive of this nomination. Barns are something that I think that they've been working on. I think it's great that they can try to get this on the register and keep this property up and running.
This is Commissioner Foster. I would concur and would also move that a letter in support be drafted and be forwarded, signed by you and forwarded to the SHPO.
Okay.
This is Commissioner Buchanan. I second.
All right, there is a motion and a second, so we'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Commissioner Johnson, yes.
Okay, Commissioner Meyer is a yes. Commissioner Ezell?
Commissioner Ezell, aye.
Commissioner Buchanan Young?
Commissioner Buchanan, aye.
And Commissioner Foster?
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries 5-0. All right, next item on the agenda is disclosure of any ex parte communications. Are there any ex parte communication disclosures this evening? I don't believe so. do we have a declaration of abstentions for specific agenda items this evening by commissioners? I don't think there's any of that either. All right, next up is committee reports. Do we have any committee reports?
Lynn Braddock Zollner, Historic Resources Administrator. We have no committee reports this evening.
Okay, Chair Meyer. We'll then move on to our consent agenda. We have a number of action summaries from the December 16th commission meeting that we need to consider for approval. Are there any questions about the action summaries from the December meeting?
This is Commissioner Foster. I would move to approve the December 16th action summary.
All right.
This is Commissioner Buchanan. I second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second. We'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Johnson,
Commissioner Johnson, yes.
Commissioner Meyer is a yes. Commissioner Ezell,
Commissioner Ezell, aye.
Commissioner Buchanan Young,
Aye.
and Commissioner Foster.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries 5-0. We will then move on to our administrative approvals. There are a number of design review applications which have been administratively reviewed and approved by staff. I guess I didn't ask, Lynn, are there any public comment on this item?
Lynn Braddock Zollner, Historic Resources Administrator. We have received no public comment and no one is in the commission room to comment.
This is Chair Meyer again. The design review applications are fairly small and I would put in a category of insignificant. So I would move that we confirm the design review applications according to the standards and information listed in the staff report for each application. Is there a second?
This is Commissioner Ezell, I second.
Okay. There's been a motion and a second. We'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Johnson.
Commissioner Johnson, yes.
Okay, Commissioner Meyer is a yes. Commissioner Ezell,
Commissioner Ezell, aye.
Commissioner Buchanan Young,
Aye.
Commissioner Foster.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries 5-0. Moving on then to our general public comment portion of the evening. Lynn, is there any, and Avery, are there any general public comment?
Lynn Braddock Zollner, Historic Resources Administrator. We received no public comment and there is no one in the commission room for public comment.
Okay, this is Chair Meyer, thank you. The next item on the agenda is public hearing items. We have an update on the Historic Resources Survey for a portion of the Barker neighborhood.
Lynn Braddock Zollner, Historic Resources Administrator. You may recall you've looked at the survey results. A consultant did the survey for phase 1 of the Barker neighborhood last year and came to you and reported the findings of that survey. That survey document was attached as an agenda item this evening. On the screen, you'll see the Barker neighborhood outlined in red. All the way to the far left was surveyed under the South Massachusetts Street Survey. The green area is that Barker 1 Phase 1 survey that was completed last year. And then the blue area is what will be covered by this survey. The city has contracted with Johnson, Merriam, and Thompson to perform the survey. Historic resources surveys are the first step to evaluating if properties are eligible for the Kansas or National Registers of Historic Places. A property is eligible for listing. The owner may pursue listing of the property. If a group of owners are interested in listing their properties, the city may be able to help with the nomination. And that's with doing a historic district nomination like we did for the Johnson block several years ago. The survey does not place any restrictions on property. It is only a tool to identify historic properties. It does not increase property taxes. It does not affect the property taxes. If property is listed in the National Register, it may be eligible for the Rehabilitation Tax Credit Program. This program allows a 25% state tax credit for eligible expenses. The actual meat of the survey is the consultants will come and do field work. They'll actually be out on the public right-of-way, looking at each structure, noting its architectural style, siding, roof, all those types of things that you can see from the public right-of-way. They'll be photographing each structure from the public right-of-way. And then they will do historic research on the neighborhood and on the structures that are in the neighborhood. For example, they would do research to see what property owners have been at the property historically and up to date. The other thing that a survey will do is if there is a planning, some type of project in the neighborhood that involves the city, we have that material, the Historic Resources Survey, we'll have that material in-house so that the historic resources can be considered as part of the planning process. So that's another good reason to do a historic survey. We held an open house for residents to meet the consultant and learn about the project on December 2nd at the public library. And the handouts from that meeting are attached to your agenda item report. The consultant will be back in the city February 7th to do the field work. There's a link on your agenda to KHRI, which is the Kansas Historic Resources Inventory Database. And that's where all the project information about each structure will go. So if you want to get on and play around with that a little bit, you can type in an address and it'll pull up a photograph of the address and all those building components I was mentioning earlier. And with that, I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have about the survey. And I think there are a couple of people that want to ask questions from the public. So I will turn it back over to you, Chair Meyer.
Muted myself. This is Chair Meyer. I guess I would go ahead and call on public comment at this time. Ms. Stone, are you here to ask questions or make a comment?
I live on Leonard Avenue between 19th and 23rd Street, and I'm here to discover information about what the findings were of the survey primarily.
Okay. Were you able to read the report that the actual update report that was attached to our agenda item?
No, I did not know that was available to me.
It is available to you. And it might be easier if, I don't know if you do email or you could be sent a link.
Yes, I have email.
Okay. The survey report for the Barker neighborhood is actually, it's a very long document. It's 78 pages. And I think you would find it interesting. I mean, it talks about the methodology. It talks about the historical overview of the neighborhood. There are, I mean, subdivision maps that they have used. There's a lot of detail about the type of architectural designs for the various properties.
Mm-hmm.
There are photographs of different houses in the neighborhood. I mean, not primarily houses, and the type of architecture that is represented in those photographs. So it's pretty lengthy. There's an analysis of how many types of each type of architecture are in the neighborhood. So it's unfortunate that we couldn't have sent this to you before right now, because I think that would answer a lot of questions and maybe give you some other questions about what's there.
Okay.
At the end of it, there's survey results and some recommendations that were made about that. There's an inventory of all the houses, trying to kind of give a summary of what some of those recommendations were. I mean, it out of the properties that they surveyed, there was some commentary about how 220 of the 326 properties are recommended as contributing. Some of the properties are individually eligible for historic designation. Some of the properties would not be if we were to create a historic district. I think that's kind of summarizing that in a nutshell. There's some recommendations for future study surveys. They talked about some of the things that it did not do. For example, this survey did not uncover an abundance of information regarding builders and architects who contributed to the neighborhood's development. So they recommend some investigation about that, etc. Does that?
Yeah, very much would
helpful?
like to receive the link
Okay.
and go through that document.
I think that we can definitely send that to you. I don't know that you want to give your email address out over during this meeting for the public to hear it, but if you want to contact Lynn and Avery afterwards, or if you want to give it, I don't care, give it now, you can.
This is Avery Kerner, planning staff. Denise, I just forwarded the link to your email address that was used to register for tonight's meeting.
Okay,
So if
thank you
don't
very
receive
much.
that-
Oh, great. Okay.
Lynn Braddock-Zollner, Historic Resources Administrator. Just want to be clear that that survey report is for phase 1. We are now undertaking phase 2, and there will be a similar report at the end of phase 2. And hopefully that report will include phase 1 with its overall recommendations for the whole neighborhood.
Okay. Lynn and Avery, can you put that map back on that you just had up with the different phases? Okay, so can you, Ms. Stone, can you see the map there?
Yes, I can.
So the survey that we were just talking about is the green area,
Right,
the phase 1.
okay,
So then what they're working on next is the blue one.
right.
Yeah, okay.
So my street is not in the blue area. I mean, it's not in the green area, so it's yet to be surveyed.
Okay.
If I'm understanding this.
I think so. What did you say you were on, Leonard?
I'm on Leonard between 19th and 23rd Street, near the Burrows Creek house,
Okay.
on the other side of the Burrows house, across the creek.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay, did you have any other questions or comments or
Well, I do have a
reserve that
comment.
for? Okay,
I do have a comment. I received the letter dated November 22nd. I didn't receive it in time to have the chance to attend the library meeting on Thursday, December 2nd,
okay.
just to let you know. And I'd be interested in finding out what that meeting was like and if there's any information that resulted.
Mrs. Chair Meyer. Lynn, were you present at that meeting, or Avery?
Lynn Braddock Zollner, Historic Resources Administrator. It was more of a drop-in, meet the consultant, open house type meeting. There was no presentation given. I
Okay.
have a handout that just kind of gives the basics of what the project will be, like we just mentioned.
Okay.
And there was, like I said, there was no formal presentation. It was just to stop in and meet the consultant and ask any questions that you might have about the project.
Thank you. Were there a good number, was there a good turnout of people who were interested?
Lynn Braddock Zollner, Historic Resources Administrator. We actually had a good number of people turn out and come and ask questions.
Okay.
Is there a way, I don't know if there's going to be another meeting or a way for property owners to contact the consultant if they missed that meeting?
Lynn Braddock Zollner, Historic Resources Administrator. I can make sure that information is out there. I believe it was on the letter that was sent to property owners, but we can also get that to anybody that's interested and put it up on our website.
Okay, this is Chair Meyer again. Ms. Stone, did you have any other?
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate the answers and the information.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Runge, I might be saying that wrong. Probably am saying that wrong.
No, that's right. I just wanted to listen in and
Okay,
what was going on. Thank you.
all right. Lynn and Avery, do you know, is there other public comment?
This is Avery Kerner, planning staff. I do not see anyone else on Zoom wishing to speak, and there's nobody present in the commission chambers tonight.
Okay, does the commission want to have any discussion about that? I don't think this is an action item. So I don't know if anyone wants to discuss the survey results. I'll take that as a no. I'm going to take that as a no. I think it's a detailed report. I appreciated it. I'm looking forward to the rest of the survey being done. I think that's decidedly helpful. So my 2 cents. Is there anything else, Lynn or Avery, that you wanted to add to that?
Lynn Braddock Zollner, Historic Resources Administrator. No, this was just actually an opportunity to update the commission that we are doing that phase 2 of the survey area, and to let the public know. We sent out a notification letter to the property owners to make them aware of this meeting. If they had any questions about the project, they could get in touch with us via this meeting, or it had my contact information for people to contact me directly.
Okay, this is Chair Meyer again. Thank you. Seeing as there's no further comment on that, we only have one real item on the agenda left, which is miscellaneous items, and I don't know if anyone has any miscellaneous items this evening.
Lynn Braddock Zollner, Historic Resources Administrator. I'd like to start doing something a little different that we haven't done in several years. When I first came to work here, we did do it, and that's a work plan for the Historic Resources Commission. And so just something to maybe think about before the February meeting, items that you see or think of that would be important work for city staff and the Historic Resources Commission to do maybe over the next 2 years. Because of the way grant funding is cycled, it might take longer to do some items than others. So if you want to just be thinking about that, to have the discussion in February.
Okay, this is Chair Meyer. I guess that'll be our homework for next month. We can all think about that.
This is Commissioner Buchanan. I've got a question about the grants and the grant cycle. Are we coming up on needing to recommend possible ways to use some of the federal and state funding?
The Historic Preservation Fund grants are not open yet. They should be open probably next month. They will be due, I believe, late March and awarded in May. So right now we don't have any that we are proposing. That is something that staff will discuss, but typically the Historic Resources Commission weighs in on whether or not that's an appropriate grant. So if we have something, we'll bring that to the commission.
Commissioner Buchanan, thanks.
Okay, well, this is Chair Meyer, and if we don't have any further miscellaneous items for this evening, I would move that we adjourn. So last call. I don't see any. All right, we'll go ahead and adjourn for the evening. Thank you, everyone.